I'm gonna tell you guys the story of how my mom cheated on my dad with an 18-year-old boy that went to the high school that both of my parents actually worked at. I'm gonna preface this by saying this happened a long time ago. This happened when I was like 9 years old. I was a child, still affected my whole life, brain chemistry, fucking everything. And you know, this would be something I'd be able to get over and like forgive my mom for, you know. But fast forward, it's been like 15, 16 years. And the guy she's dating right now is young as fuck too. Like my mom is 51 and her boyfriend is I think 32 or 33. But also, my mom's firstborn child, her son, is a month older than the man she's dating right now. And then my brother was the same age as the high schooler that my mom cheated on my dad with. Also, I cut my mom off completely. I haven't talked to her in so long. I got married in August. She didn't come because I told her fuck-ass little child boyfriend can't come, and she got pissed. I've been in and out of therapy for like 10 years. I'm just gonna talk about it. I'm done protecting people. I'm done worrying about making some of my family members uncomfortable. You all know what the fuck she did because you guys were there too. So I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. This is my story. This actually fucking happened to me and I still have to deal with it every single day. So to kind of make a long story short, my family, we were like the typical suburban white picket fence family. We had a nice house. My parents had 4 kids. We had a dog. We were all in sports. We went to church every Sunday. Like we were a perfect little family, you know? My mom was a really good mom. She was the typical like PTA fucking amazing mom. That's why this is so hard too, because I genuinely did love her, but she just completely did a 180 and is like different as fuck. And also to this day, there's things I still randomly find out that I had no recollection of, because when this all happened, I was like 8 to 9 years old. So I didn't know some of the full things until I grew up and my dad or my other family members told me more of the incident. But not isn't only deeply traumatizing and like disgusting and shameful that my mom cheated on my father with an 18-year-old boy. Like I don't tell anyone this. It's fucking embarrassing. People close to me know my mom cheated on my dad, but they don't know the whole story. My friend that I've had for over 10 years now, I barely told her the full story this summer that passed. Like, I never wanted to tell anyone this because it's fucking disgusting and it's fucking embarrassing that that is the person that gave birth to me. Like, I'm ashamed, bro. I'm ashamed. So I think this happened in like 2010 or 11. Like, I was in 5th grade going to 6th grade, so that's also fucking terrible too. Basically, my mom had already been acting like strange and weird for months. And one night she said she was gonna go to the mall to like get my aunt a birthday present, but my dad was like, what do you mean? Because it was already like 10 p.m. and he knew all the stores at the mall were closed. She goes anyways, he lets her, and she's not replying to his calls or his texts, anything, for hours. So my dad has to call the fucking cops, and he calls my grandparents, which are her parents, because he genuinely thought something happened to her. While the cops were there and everything, my grandpa, because unfortunately before my grandma, my grandpa has been cheated on too, so my grandpa was like, do you think something serious happened, or do you think she's just fooling around? And the cop was like, it honestly seems like she's just fooling around or something, like she doesn't want you guys to know where she's at. Mom ends up coming home. I don't even know how the fuck my dad found out. I don't know if my mom came clean to him or my dad went through her messages. I don't remember. But basically, dad found out, and my parents both worked at the school. Like, my mom wasn't a teacher. She was like some office lady type shit, and my dad was a custodian. So they find out it's an 18-year-old boy that goes to the school, which is a foster kid, all vulnerable because she's a fucking sus pedophile. I can't go too into the nitty-gritty. Like, I don't really fully know or remember. Like, I don't know how this happened, but my dad basically had to tell the school, like, there's a pedophile, and since he's 18, she's so fucking lucky she didn't get arrested or charged with anything, even though she was in a position of power and groomed and preyed on an 18-year-old boy that went to the fucking school she worked at. And it's really worse because my dad tried to forgive her. My dad was down to work their marriage out, you know. I don't know why. My dad wanted to work things out, and my mom was like, I'll stop cheating. And honestly, let's not even call this cheating. She had a fucking affair. So I just remember one day going to school. My parents are trying to work it out, you know, we're still in the same house, shit's tense or whatever, it's weird. I'm going out to the driveway of our house to get in the car because my mom's gonna take us to school. Tell me why when I open the car door, the 18-year-old boy that my mom is cheating on my dad with is sleeping in the back of the fucking trunk. He opened his eyes and looked at me and was literally like, shh. And I just went to fucking school that day, like traumatized, feeling weird as fuck. Like, I was literally like 9 years old. I remember coming home that day and sobbing to my dad, and my dad was like, what's wrong? I could tell something's wrong. And I literally had to tell him. I found him in the trunk. Mom is still cheating on you. My dad, that's when he decided to get a divorce. It's also traumatizing because my dad has let me know so many times, like, thank you so much for telling me that, because like once you told me that, like, I was able to see clearly, and like you really are the one that like helped me finally get a divorce from your mom. I know he doesn't mean any harm with that, but hearing that as a 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl, even a 25-year-old girl now, like, it fucks with me. And to make matters worse too, my parents finally separated. They were gonna get their divorce and whatever. My mom is still dating the 18-year-old, and then she thinks it's a good idea to bring him with my little sister and I to hang out with us. Let's go to the movies. Let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. We're a happy family. No, bitch. My poor dad was literally getting calls from like our family members or his friends being like, your wife is like with a kid and with your daughters. Like, my little sister and I had no choice. We were kids. We had to be dragged along. My older siblings were teenagers, so they kind of were unsupervised. My mom, like I said, did a 180. She started going on benders, doing drugs, drinking hella, leaving us at her parents' house while she goes and parties and is a fucking whore. And I'll never forget my little sister's, I don't know, I think it was like her 7th birthday. We were staying in a hotel because house got foreclosed, we're fucking bankrupt. And, you know, my mom's 18-year-old boyfriend is with us, and it's my little sister's birthday, so she's like, I'm gonna take Ashley out to dinner. She took Ashley and her 18-year-old boyfriend out to dinner and left me and my older sister in the hotel and got us McDonald's. And I repressed this all for so long. I repressed it for so long because, you know, I got into my teenage years, I started doing bad things. I started just repressing all these memories and being crazy. But once I got older, and then especially once I became pregnant, it all just started hitting me and getting me really upset because my mom has never apologized for any of this. My mom has never sat down and talked to all my siblings and confronted this and been like, I'm sorry this happened, this wasn't right, like, this is what we're gonna do moving forward as a family. Like, no, she just changed, abandoned us, and was fucking crazy. And also, anytime I was like a teenager or younger and would try to talk about my mom, about how I felt and how I was depressed or how I was really upset about my parents' divorce, I would try to talk to her about it. You know what she would say to me? She'd be like, oh my god, your dad and I just got a divorce. Like, everyone's parents get divorced. Like, no, bitch, you cheated on my dad with a fucking child. I found him in the car, had to tell my dad, and then you would bring him around us, involve him with us. No, that's not just getting a divorce, you sick, twisted, demented fuck. So she's never changed either. Like I said, the guy she's dating now is this, like 2 months younger than my oldest brother, her firstborn child. She doesn't give a fuck. And she's crazy as fuck because she's also tried to say, when me and my little sister confront her about her terrible actions in the past, she's like, he was an adult. No, bitch, you went to the fucking school you worked at. She tried to say he emotionally manipulated her and came onto her. Are you retarded? Was a fucking kid and you were in a power position. So she literally has no remorse. She's a narcissist. She's a fucking pedophile. And I just want to talk my shit and say my story because I'm over it. I'm over it. Like I said, she hasn't changed. She's still dating a young ass guy. We've all let her know we're uncomfortable with it. She refused to come to my wedding because I told her I didn't want her boyfriend there. Why the fuck would I want him there? There's honestly so much more to this story. Like, this is just, I don't even know. There's so much shit I've gone through and she's put me through, and I've gotten no apology. She hasn't changed, and I'm really just tired. Like, it's upsetting that that's my mom, you know? I wish I had a mom. I wish my daughter had a fucking grandma. But I'm not gonna normalize her dating someone as young as her fucking kid. If you didn't have kids, that's one thing. But bitch, you have 4? That's fucking disgusting. You need to go get help. Like I said, there's more to the story. I'll probably make a part 2 just to, like, say little details. But my mom fucked my life up, and I hate her.
I got divorced at 38 with no retirement, with no money. My name wasn't on our checking account, and my name wasn't on the deed of the house. I had a prenup that I signed when I was 24 years old, and that did not allow me for anything. And so I was a stay-at-home mom. I devoted my entire 17 years that I was with him from age 20 to age, well, 38. So 18 years, I devoted 18 years with him, for him, to serve him. And I realized that I didn't have a identity. I had no identity. And I knew I was more than that. I knew I could give the world more because I was only giving to him. And so now I'm working on learning who I am as a person and who I want to be at age 41. So it's hard, it's scary, especially when you lack a lot of self-confidence in yourself. And also, you do not feel worthy. But I'm gonna do it. I truly believe that I have a purpose on this world, on this earth, in this world, on this earth. I truly believe I have a purpose, and that purpose is to help others. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey you guys, it's Alyssa, and I am here to give you guys the long-awaited story time of why I left my husband after almost 10 years of marriage. This is probably going to be a long one, so buckle in and hold on tight because there's a lot of drama and a lot of, Alyssa, why didn't you leave the first time? And just know that this is a judgment-free zone, so if you're here to judge me, just keep on scrolling. Hindsight is 2020, and I made whatever decisions I made thinking that it was in the best interest of my family at the time. I made mistakes, and we are just gonna get on with it. So I met Tyler when we were in high school. He was best friends with my sister and her now husband. So I've known him for a really long time. We did not start dating until my oldest, he has a different dad, was about 6-7 months old. 6-7. And we ended up like hitting it off. We had known each other for a long time, but I was never really interested in dating him because I was significantly older than 3 years older than him, not significantly. And we got engaged within a year, just less than a year, and then we got married a year later. During that time, I was just like so happy. He was such a good like father figure to my oldest, whose biological dad stopped seeing him when he was 10 months old. And we have not heard from him since. So if you were gonna ask about that, I do get like $77 a month or bi-weekly, I think, for him. But he has not seen him or even tried to see him. He's taken me to court to lessen his child support and says he wants parenting time and then never follows through. So that has been like an ongoing battle for a long time, but that's beside the point. So during this time, my husband, Tyler, really just connected with Elias, and they had a really awesome bond, and we decided to get married and just keep having kids until I was 30. It didn't matter how many we had. We just wanted to have a big family. And for a majority of the time, I kind of worked in and out and here and there, but nothing like for a really long period of time. I mostly just stayed at home with the kids. That was kind of our decision. He worked, he was a mechanic, and after we had our fourth baby, things kind of got rough. I found out he was having an affair when my youngest, Kaywood, was about 6 months old. I found a bunch of Snapchat pictures from a girl who dropped parts off to him at his work when he was a mechanic. We sat down, we talked about it. He said it was a mistake. It had been going on for a couple of months, and I just decided to stay and work things out. Obviously things are never the same after that kind of thing happens, but I did my best to just kind of push it down, and I started trying to like dress a little bit like cuter and just like basically change myself and like get myself together, hoping that it would kind of save it. A few months later, he started an EMT class and had to get a medical license because he's a firefighter at this point. And he was full-time mechanic but part-time firefighter. So he wanted to eventually get into full-time firefighting, but had to go through a bunch of trainings. And by December of that year, so I found out about the first affair in June. In December, he asked me on December 2nd, 2021, he asked me and the kids to leave. I left, and I went to my parents' house with all 4 kids. The next night, it was a Friday night, I said, hey, do you wanna hang out with the kids? And he was like, yeah, I would love to have them for the night, but I have something Saturday morning, so you'll just have to, I'll have to bring them back. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So my oldest comes back Saturday morning. He said, I'm never going there again. I said, okay, what happened? And he was like, he had a girl there last night. I said, okay. Mind you, during this time, he basically was acting like he just was really depressed and needed to get his head straight and just needed a little bit of space. Hadn't said it had anything to do with me, was still telling me he loved me and that he just needed a little bit of space, whatever. And I was devastated. I went down to the fire department because it was right down the block, and his phone was charging in the car, and I opened it up, and sure enough, there were pictures from a girl that he was in his trainings with that of her holding my almost 1-year-old baby and just saying things like, oh, I hope I'm not overstepping, blah, blah, blah. So he had been having a second affair. And at that point, I just kind of left and we were done. At the end of December, the same month, him and his girl, who was significantly younger than him, by the way, had engagement rings on. And at that point, he was not helping me with the kids. He got fired from his job, was making really poor decisions, drinking all the time. And she like worked at a bar and was young and just didn't really have like a very good work ethic. I tried very hard to actually like be friends with them because I just didn't want the drama, even though I was super duper hurt. And so that was affair number 2. They stayed together for about 6 months, planned a wedding for September, blah, blah, blah. And he and I, one of his cars broke down, and he had to, he lost the house we had been staying in, had lost the like nice car we had. So he was borrowing a car from his brother, and he ran out of gas on the way to one of our kids' baseball games. Sorry. And he called me and was like, hey, I ran out of gas, you know, Tay is working. Are you able to come grab me? And so I went and got him and went and took him to the gas station so he could get gas. Hold on. And on the way back, he was like, you know, don't tell her this, but I still have you listed on all of my stuff for, if I die in a fire, his life insurance, all of his like, you know, beneficiary people. He's like, I still have that for you. And I said, well, why wouldn't you? You know, we're married for 5 years, like, and I'm the mother of your children. Why would you change it to somebody who you've been dating for like 6 months, like this strange person that you don't know? And he was like, yeah, that's what I think too. But basically she just would get mad about it. Again, she was young, and also had like very severe mental health problems and would post about it all over Facebook. And that is kind of how I found out who she was. And mind you, during this time, he did not help me financially for 4 months until he did file taxes and got them back. And then he paid me back for the previous months. I did end up filing for child support at that time, and we did get a legal separation. Technically that never ended. And so we ended up, he ended up like breaking things off with this girl like within a week and was like, I miss you. I'm so sorry. I want to work things out. At that point, I had kind of gotten my crap together. When he kicked me and the boys out, I had nothing. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anywhere to live. I didn't even have a job at that point. I eventually went back to the daycare that I was working at and was a preschool teacher, and I was doing Shipt on the side. So I was doing whatever I could to make sure I could support my kids. And I started from literally nothing to being able to, with help from family, being able to get into my own house in 9 months and fully furnished the house myself. I'm like everything. The house was set to go. But at this point it was only June, and I didn't move into the house for another 3 months. I did not accept his proposal right away. We had signed divorce papers, but he had never like filed them. So technically we were still only in a legal separation and never officially got divorced. So at that point, he spent the next 3-4 months trying to prove it to me. He got evicted from his house and needed somewhere to stay. So I had moved into my new house. I was there for about 2 months, and he asked me to come stay with me, and I accepted. Just told him, you know, you're going to have to pay bills. You're going to have to help me out. This isn't a free ride. And he agreed. He did do that. And even from then, when we were living together, we did not officially get back together for almost like 6 or 7 months after that. He stayed with me. He spent every minute of his time trying to prove to me how he had messed up. He had gotten counseling and therapy and just wanted our marriage to work. And he knew what it was like without me, and did not want that to ever be a thing again. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to start a new video, and you guys will see what happens in part 2. Okay, part 2 of why I left my husband after 10 years. So we did eventually get back together when we had been separated for I think a year and a half almost. And things were going really well. He spent all of his time trying to like prove to me that he was serious, that he wanted our marriage back, he wanted to be a family. And it did not take long after that for his decisions, like financial decisions, poor decisions all around, to just start basically caving in. He is very materialistic. He wants to have the newest, coolest thing, even if you can't afford it. His choice will always be to buy whatever he wants instead of paying the bills. And it put me in a very difficult position. The house that I was in was my aunt's house. And he put me in a position, granted, I do make my own choices, but he put me in a position multiple times where I felt like I was taking advantage of her and my uncle, and I hated it. But I was just so mentally invested in my marriage that I just kept making bad decisions. And I regret a lot of that. So anyway, things were going pretty well. But then we just couldn't afford the house that we were in of my aunt's, and she was like, look, this isn't working out, which I totally understood. So we ended up leaving shortly after that. Now during this time, I had met another mom who had the same name as me and was pretty well known in our hometown. Also, I should add in, I'm also very well known in my hometown. Me and my siblings all grew up here. My parents grew up here. My grandparents were very active people in the town. So if you don't know who I am when you're in my hometown, you definitely know my cousins, my siblings, my parents, my aunts and uncles. We are just, it's a small town. Everybody knows everything. So I met this friend, and our kids wrestled together, and she had a daughter and with my oldest son, and they had a little crush on each other. So they, you know, were little boyfriend and girlfriend. And so we kind of hit it off. We started talking and hanging out, but it was like 2 weeks of us like Snapchatting back and forth that she was like, oh, you're my best friend, and oh, this and all that. And I was like, I don't have friends. So it was weird, but also I was just happy to have a friend. But something about her just like never really sat right with me. And I did at one point, that September of 2023, I think, talking to another friend about it. Sorry, hold on. And just how she always seemed like she was always very flirty. I had known that she had cheated on her husband a couple of times. And unfortunately, like, I'm not a very like controlling person, but it just made me uncomfortable. I had talked to Tyler about the way that she acted around him, made me really uncomfortable. And he was like, look, that's not on me. You need to talk to her about it. He was right. I definitely should have, but I never did. One day she came over and we were all hanging out, and I went to the bathroom and I was super uncomfortable. I don't know why, but I had come out and I was standing in the hallway and I was just watching. And I swear to you, I looked at Tyler and I saw him mouth to her, check your phone. I didn't really think anything of it. I convinced myself I was imagining it because I had just put all this stuff in my head. And a couple hours goes by, she's awkwardly waiting by the door and was like, hey, will you like walk me out to my car? And I was like, yeah. So I walked out with her and she was like, I'm going to show you something and I don't want you to freak out. And she showed me text messages from Tyler that he was basically like, oh, I want you so much. Blah, 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 all these like crazy things. She had not responded to the text messages. I said, is that the only time? He literally had texted her while we were all sitting there together playing games. She said, I think he's texted me one other time, but I didn't have his number saved, so I wasn't sure who it was. And then when he just sent it to me now, it clicked in my head that it was him. And I was like, okay. I dropped her phone on the ground and said, you need to leave. And honestly, I was very grateful that she had told me, but I also knew that she had made him believe that that door was open, and she will swear to you up and down that she didn't. But she did. So I did not talk to her for a couple of months. I stayed with Tyler. He got help, went to therapy again, and was diagnosed with a multiple personality disorder. They basically told him that usually people with this will turn to drugs instead. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. And instead he was basically chasing the adrenaline rush of an affair. And they started him on a couple of medications. But there was always that part of me that was basically like, okay, but you're also a pathological liar. You lie about everything. We always had a kind of a running joke in our family, like, hey, if Tyler's telling a story, make sure you take it with a grain of salt because he's probably exaggerating or probably lying about some part of it. Which obviously that's something I knew and I just kind of overlooked. It was part of his charm, I guess. I don't really know. And we stayed together. It was not great. During all of this, I should also add in that like we really did not argue very much. We didn't really have a toxic environment for our kids. They didn't really like understand what was going on because I was just so good at hiding everything and keeping things private. So flash forward, that happened in October, I think October, right around like Halloween time. Right before Halloween, because then I was the one that was kind of like left out from all of the wrestling moms. And whatever. Anyway, they all went like Halloween trick-or-treating together and I was not invited. So I ended up, it took me a little while, but I did end up reaching out to Alyssa and was like, look, I'm sorry. It was just like a difficult situation to navigate. I needed some time. Thank you for telling me. And we kind of like became friends again. Flash forward to December and hold on. So flash forward to December and we were at a wrestling practice and it was always a little bit awkward, but we stayed, like Alyssa and I stayed friends. And Tyler was acting weird about his phone. And so he was coaching and I said, hey, like one of the boys wants to watch your phone. Is that okay? Because 2 of them were wrestling. The other 2 were in the hallway with me while they were wrestling. Hold on, sorry. This is why it's taken me so long to make these videos because I don't ever have like time away from the kids. So they're always being loud in the background. But I wanted to get it out to you guys. So anyway, sorry. I ended up like randomly, I don't know, like on an iPhone, you scroll like, or swipe to the left. And if you like pull down on the phone, it'll pop up like your most recent apps. And he had downloaded some random text messaging app. Basically to hide that he was talking to somebody again. And I called Alyssa right there and I said, is it you again? And she was like, no, I told you last time I would tell you again. Whatever. I looked at Tyler and I said, this is done. I moved out that night, went and stayed with my sister and was like, we are finished. This is enough. Like you, even with medication and therapy, clearly it's not working. And then I let him convince me that like starting over somewhere else would be our best bet. He ended things with this person. He never told me who it was. I never figured it out. Flash forward to February, he got a job on the Memphis Fire Department. We are from Michigan, and I said, I'm not going with you. The kids can stay here with me. You go. We'll work things, like we'll talk. We'll see if we can work things out. I helped move him down there. And while I was there, I found pictures in his phone of Alyssa. And we had been texting at the time. She was telling me about how her little brother had gotten a college scholarship. And I texted her back and was like, you lied to me. I knew it was you. I knew it was you the entire time. And it had like started clicking in my head that she was mad that I went down with him to try to like help him move. And she just pretended like it was because she didn't want me to get hurt. So it was really her the whole time. She took all of the messages that only Tyler had texted. And mind you, I found out because she had sent him a picture and I had seen it in his phone. So she was engaging in this. Sorry, hold on. And she had taken all of those text messages and posted them all over her Facebook and basically like shamed me and said I should have believed her, sent it to my mom, and go to part 3. Okay, you guys, I told you this is gonna be long. This is part 3 of why I left my husband after almost 10 years of marriage. So, anyway, Alyssa ended up posting all of these text messages all over the internet, all over Facebook, was privately messaging my mom, sending them to her, and nobody stuck up for me. Not any of the moms that I had been hanging out with. And here's my thing. I'm the type of person that feels like if you're gonna sit back and watch somebody like do something wrong, And I'm not saying it was wrong to out Tyler. I'm saying it was wrong because she was attacking me in her post. She wasn't, and she was acting like she had never responded to them. But I found out because I found a picture in his phone of her. And he did not have social media at this point. At that point, from all the affairs, he had deleted everything except for TikTok. So I knew that it wasn't something that he had taken from somewhere. I knew it was something that she had sent him. And she's also married, I should add in, with 4 kids. And so nobody stuck up for me, and I was devastated. And at that point, it felt like my hometown was no longer a safe space. My family was not thrilled with Tyler. He was not really allowed around. And I had done basically like broken myself trying to make sure that I could still be a part of my family and also still have my kids and my husband. And I understood why they felt that way. I never blamed them for that. But I made a lot of really poor choices in that regard too. And I have made my reconciliations with my family for those things. And of course, they've just been fully supportive and loving me. But at that point, I pulled the boys out of their sports programs because I was not in a position that I could face those demons. I did not want to have to run into the wrestling moms. I didn't want to have to run into Alyssa. I did not sign my boys up for baseball because I was literally too afraid to even leave my house. My mom was getting targeted in gas stations and at work and just saying, hey, we heard this about you or about your daughter. And I think most people like had good intentions, but I think when you're constantly being talked about and constantly like being betrayed and stabbed in the back like that, it just feels like nobody really actually cares, and they just kind of want to know your drama. So that was one of my big issues. And I just didn't feel safe. Sorry, hold on. I just didn't feel safe in my hometown anymore. It didn't feel like a safe space to me. And I thought to myself, you know what? If I just moved and started over, maybe Tyler and I would be able to work things out. He talked to me every day for those months that he was gone. He lived in Memphis from February to June, and then we stayed in contact every day. He helped with the kids financially. And when June happened, I decided, after the boys got out of school, I decided, you know what, like, let's go down to Memphis. Let's spend a couple of weeks down there and let's see like how it goes. After the couple of weeks, things I felt like were going really well. And I ended up staying. I put the boys in school in Memphis and things were going really well. And mind you, like, this is just like a trauma bond at this point. This is heartbreak after heartbreak, and then also me running away from my problems and not wanting to face all of those people after being blasted all over the internet. And I made the excuse for so long that I just wanted my family together. I got sick of sharing my kids. I wasn't sure what he was exposing them to. During our like separation the first time, he was trying to get them to call his fiance that he had after 30 days, mom, her parents, grandma and grandpa. My baby at the time, he was only, I think, 8 months old. Oh, he was a little over 1, had a febrile seizure, and he said, I'm not coming to the hospital unless she can come. So just like making these like crazy, weird decisions that I was like, what is going on? And mind you, I know, and I knew at the time, like, that he wasn't the best example for the boys, but for the most part, when he was around, he was a really good dad. He has a really hard time like following through with consequences for them. So that was really difficult. But during our time in Memphis for that year, I was in a car accident. We all were. And I completely destroyed my knee. And, 1 second. So yeah, anyway, it just, I was a mess, not my best self. During that time, he had been taking his medication and seeing a psychologist, one of those, and, you know, working through all of his trauma. He didn't have a great childhood, so we tried really hard to make sure that that was it, and things went really well. During the accident, he took time off work. Memphis gave him time off and paid him so that he could stay home with me. Okay, so he kept taking care of me during the accident, or like afterwards, because I was not able to walk on my leg for I don't even remember. I think I was 6 weeks non-weight bearing. So I was using a walker to get her around and had 4 kids at home who had to get back and forth to school. We had totaled our only car that fit all of us. So there was just a lot going on. The boys were in football, and so he was able to stay home. He waited on me hand and foot. He treated me really well. And like I said before, our marriage and our relationship wasn't necessarily toxic. I just put my arm in pear juice. We didn't really fight very often. We didn't argue. I mean, we had our moments, but most of the time things were really good. Outside of like the things behind the scenes. So, during this time, you know, he nursed me back to health. We're our first year away from our families, but things are going really well. We're kind of making new relationships with people and making friends, and the boys really were enjoying it. But Memphis was not the greatest place for us to raise a family, although he loved his job there. They took very good care of him. They do take very good care of him. And I will never have anything bad to say about the Memphis Fire Department. And I'm just really grateful for all of the help that they gave us during that time. So flash forward to the end of the school year, and we met up with one of my second cousins at the zoo in Memphis. He lived a couple of hours away. And he was like, you know what, like, let's get you out of Memphis. Let me see if I can get you guys a house over where we live in Mississippi. And Tyler would just commute to work. So we were able to do that. He literally got us in a house within a week. So we let the boys finish off school because it was May during this time. And we moved into that house at the like very beginning of June. And for whatever reason, since then, it has been poor decision after poor decision. And if you have ever stayed with somebody after they have had an affair, I think that you kind of know that it never really goes back to normal. They can sit there and they can pretend like there's somebody different for as long as they want, but really I think he just knew that his life without me would be a lot more difficult. And even though I didn't like help financially as much as he did, every time, you know, our lights got shut off, or every time we needed groceries, or every time we needed, you know, our water turned back on, I was the one that was calling my family and begging them for money because he had blown all of it. He was opening loans, trying to start a side business that was going to help our family. Our vehicle that another one of my cousins gave us to use, that we were supposed to be paying them for, it broke down, and that was the only one that fit all of us. And so when he went and got a new vehicle, he bought a truck that did not fit all of us. That was right before we left. Just kept making poor decision after poor decision. I knew we were going to end up homeless. I knew the landlord was the judge of the county we lived in, and it was just not a good situation. I was constantly going to bed at night wondering when I was going to be homeless. And one day I just looked at him. I had tried to leave a couple of times, and he would tell me I was unstable. He would tell me all these horrible things about how he would take the kids from me, and I don't have any income, so he'd be able to hire a lawyer and I wouldn't. And I would just stay because I was too scared to lose my kids. And then after about 2 weeks, I in the summer, I started kind of making a plan. I was texting my mom and was like, I got to figure out a way to save up money. I don't want to leave and start over again. But he kept blowing all of the money. There was no money to save. There was nothing. We were, you know, people say, oh, we don't have any food in the house. When I tell you our cupboards and our fridge were empty, the boys' lunch accounts at school were going negative. I figured it out. I fed them, but it was really rough. And I just got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. He was constantly like sacrificing our safety and decisions that were best for our family for selfish decisions for himself. And would say that it was for us, but it never really made any sense. And unfortunately, I had enough. We sat down, we decided to end our marriage, and we both decided, I have it in writing, that me coming back to Michigan would be the best thing for me and the boys right now, so that I had my support system. It has been 3 weeks, and he is now out of the house we were in. he got kicked out. He texted me last week and said that the lights had been shut off and that the internet was off. And the landlord was like, I'm done with this. And I knew if I would have stayed that we would have all been homeless together. And I just look at it now and I'm just thankful that I made the decision to leave on my own terms instead of waiting for us to end up homeless and calling my parents and being like, hey, can I come home because we got kicked out? And I feel like eventually I might have regretted that, but I can tell you right now, I am 3 weeks out and I feel happy again. I do grieve a little bit of what I thought my future would look like. My boys are struggling, especially the oldest one. He blames me because, you know, Dad asked for a second chance and why won't you just give it to him? But he had a lot of chances to get his act together, and he might not have had an affair the last, you know, year and a half or 2 years or whatever, but that never went away. All of the times that he took advantage of me and my heart and my love and compassion. And he knew I was from a family and nobody had ever been divorced, so I didn't want a part of that. But the boys and I are doing really well. We are staying with my sister as she cleaned out one of her kids' rooms, and all of our stuff, the little that we do have, is in there. I made myself an Amazon wish list so that I had things to look forward to purchasing when I'm able to save up a little bit of money so that I have like a physical list of things that I want my house to look like when we do get our own place. And I just did an Amazon wish list for it so that I can slowly mark things off one by one. I'm keeping an eye on Marketplace just to make sure, you know, if I see anything that goes, I'll just take it off my wish list. So, yeah, we're doing well. The boys had a great Christmas. They definitely miss their dad. He has been calling. He has sent me money for them. And he's supposed to be coming up next week to see them. So we will kind of see how that goes. I think he is just couch surfing right now. And we are just hoping to save up enough money to get us a car. I think hopefully when taxes come back, I will have enough money saved up between me working crazy hours and our tax money to be able to do that. So I have less than I've ever had material wise, and I just feel so relieved and so excited for the future that we are going to have. And I know that my kids are struggling, but I am calling a family counselor today to see if we can get in and talk to somebody just to kind of help them navigate their feelings. And I'm just doing the best I can, and I appreciate you guys and all your kindness and generosity so much. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and I love you guys, and hopefully you guys stuck around till the end, and I'm sorry this is so long. We'll see you guys soon.
I'm taking my father to court for domestic violence. Hi, my name is Celine Tavlon, and I am making a series about my domestic violence case that I'm currently a part of. I have trial January 23rd and February 2nd. It's 2 days. I am currently unrepresented still. I have had 2 lawyers withdraw from my case in less than 4 months because of the complexity of the case, and opposing counsel is very intimidating. My father has all the funds to make sure that he is represented. He is capable of weaponizing the legal system against me. His attorney put me through a 4-hour deposition where I provided over 500 plus pages of my own discovery material, organized, table of contents, the whole 9. I have carried myself throughout this entire case because the system has consistently failed me and failed to protect me. And every single day that I go through this incident, I learn so much about myself and about the legal process and the blind spots that ensure survivors like me are never heard. And I want to change that. Now, if I do not find an attorney, which I have found an attorney, but it is going to be $10,000 flat. Now, I don't have $10,000, which is why I'm on here asking anyone who can or will share my link to my GoFundMe. Donate if you can. Any amount helps. $1, $5. It doesn't matter. But regardless, I am going to represent myself. I told the judge I have every intention of proceeding with the process, whether I'm with representation or without. My story is so much bigger than just me. My father has prior criminal allegations and charges for RICO and cocaine drug trafficking charges, and it has led to my case being extremely complex. A lot of attorneys just don't want to get involved, and this is exactly why I am fighting the legal system right now, is because we are in a position where our lawyers care more about protecting power and influence and wealth over survivors, and this is exactly why survivors like me never speak up, why we often don't call the police, why so many of us are there but never heard. And I refuse to be another person who falls through the cracks of this system unheard. I'm gonna go down swinging for my rights, for your rights, and for all of our rights, because I believe in a system that protects the truth over profit. And I will never let a bully stop me from fighting. I may be young, but you know what? I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this so one day my daughter wakes up one day and knows that her mother will always fight for what's right, regardless. I have given up everything for this fight, everything. My stability, my financial comfort, all of it, my privilege, all of it, gone. And I would do it over again because I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm fighting for. If you want to join me, you want to learn more about my story, I have written extensively, more in depth if you want to read. I've written The Paternal Wound. It's up on my Substack. You can read more about the abuse there. You can also learn about financial abuse in affluent households on my LinkedIn. And I will not let the system silence me, and I'm not going to let men silence me. I'm going to keep talking, and I'm going to keep fighting for our rights. And my goal is to be a lawyer, is to be someone who changes the system, someone who might run one day. I have every intention that when I enter the legal field, I don't want to walk out unless it's changed. This is a system that protects the powerful and the wealthy over the truth. This has happened time and time again, where survivors are just dismissed. You know, I have asked myself time and time again, every single time I hit a wall and I'm like, how can I survive this? How can I do this? This is impossible. I remind myself that we would not have had our rights as women. We would not have had our rights if it weren't for that one woman who decided to speak up. It takes only one person to be courageous enough to break the social script of silence, especially in family dynamics. Respect over blood. I will not protect those that do not protect me because we share the same blood. I will protect myself fiercely, and I will protect other women just as fiercely. I will not let myself be bullied into silence, and I will keep speaking up because it's right, and because that is what is necessary for us to actually make a difference here. And I'm gonna go to law school, fall 2026. And I promise I will change the system. You wanna learn how I'm gonna do that? Read my work. Read it. I have a LinkedIn newsletter. I have Substack, my Medium. It all talks about what I wanna do. I mean this. If you wanna follow my journey, if you want to share my link to my GoFundMe, if you want to even donate $1, whatever, it doesn't matter. It all means the same to me, that you care about due process and equal representation. I should not be walking into court on January 23rd on an unbalanced playing field. But if an unbalanced playing field is what I'm given, then so be it. That's all I have for today. I have a law school webinar in like 5 minutes, so I gotta go. But if you want to know more, you can always follow. My name is Celine Tavlon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. I'm taking my father to court for domestic violence. Hi, I'm Celine Tavlon, and welcome to my TikTok. If you're new here, which there's actually a lot of new people on my account, which thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to actually comment, or even those who donated. It means everything. Like, I can't tell you how many times I literally just like sat in my room and was just like, I'm like, it's over for me. Like, because at the end of the day, like, I feel like people don't realize my life is at stake, and just this impending doom, it feels that way. And with trial 6 weeks away, no attorney, and it's just, after giving everything up and like having so much backlash from my family and having almost every single one of my friends turn their backs on me when I needed it the most, it has been the hardest time of my life. And every single one of you who has commented and who took the time to read my story, that is the best thing I have ever heard. I pour my soul into my writing. It is exactly who I am. And the fact that you guys took to hear me and to hold space for my story, it really gives me faith in humanity. And I just, I'm really grateful. But I did want to update you guys on something. Yesterday, I got a phone call from one of my parents' friends, and she was like, she's an attorney, she's an immigration attorney. And she asked me, she was like, don't you feel bad? Like, he's your parent. Don't you feel like gratitude that they paid for everything? And I said, absolutely not. Why should I feel bad for someone else who put my life in danger? Does he feel remorse for laying his hands on me and assaulting his 23-year-old daughter? Kicking me out, cutting me off financially, changing the locks in the house? I almost got raped. You think I'm gonna thank him for putting me in that position? And also, why do I have to be the one who suffers, who gets on my hands and knees and shrinks my truth just so someone feels comfortable, so I don't make him feel sad? Because it's about him, right? It's about his feelings. It's about what he wants. But what about me? I deserve to live in safety too, right? I deserve to be represented. Why do I have to come on social media and beg for money when my family has plenty and not a single one of them has even stepped forward to support me? I'm carrying the weight of generational trauma on my back. So when she said that to me, I was like, this is exactly the kind of gaslighting survivors have to face. And no wonder a system wants to protect power and influence over my life. A lawyer is saying that to me. Someone who is supposed to be a person who defends the principles of our democracy. That is seriously corrupt. And then she said something else. And I knew her intention was not to actually have a conversation. She asked me, don't you think the jury will find you narcissistic? Narcissistic? Excuse me? So, I gave up all my financial cushion and stability to fight for the truth, to fight for what's right, to protect me and others who my father has harmed. What about me is doing this out of narcissism? And honestly, right then and there, I was like, you are not my lawyer. I do not owe you an explanation. And I am not going to defend myself to someone who has no intention of actually understanding me. And just because she is okay with letting other men behave the way my father does not mean that I have to live that way too. I do not deserve to live in fear for my life. That is a human right. I do not deserve to be punished because I am asking to be legally protected. He didn't ask me when he put my name on his real estate company in 2005 when I was 3 years old. He didn't ask me. He didn't say, hey, Celine, are you okay with me putting your name on my real estate business, knowing that I have cocaine, drug trafficking charges and RICO charges? Did he ask me? No. I was 3. My future was never even considered. My name wasn't even mine. You know, I remember my father told my sister one time that her name is a prostitute's name. He named her. I'm not going to say her name because privacy reasons, but what kind of father says that? That's sadistic. He used my name to cover him, to protect himself. But we don't ask women whether they got the choice, whether they got the choice to live freely and to choose. We say, don't speak up, that's your father. Don't spoil the family name, don't hurt our image. Not, Celine, are you okay? Celine, I'm sorry no one protected you your entire life, and now you're having to do this legal battle alone. There were so many moments growing up that I just wish that an adult would actually step in. Now that I am one, I'm now the adult that's stepping in. I'm stepping in for my younger self, for every single phase of my life that felt powerless. I'm the adult now. I'm gonna be the adult for myself. And I'm not going to betray and abandon myself like everyone in my life has. And you know what? I stand by my values, I stand by integrity, I stand by justice, and I stand by the people. And I'm not gonna back down. My truth deserves to be heard. I deserve to be safe. I deserve to be able to build my own legacy with my own name. Okay, that's all for today. I thank you so much for literally tuning in. I really appreciate it. Doing these TikToks it's really exhausting. Obviously I'm trying to be active as much as possible. Please, if you can share my GoFundMe link, donate anything. Or even if you just read my Substack story, The Paternal Wound, or if you want to look on my newsletter on LinkedIn, I write about financial abuse in affluent homes. And, you know, my writing could help you also develop a language for your pain. And I know I'm not the only one who is struggling this way. I'm just the first one to speak up. And it only takes one. I'm paving the way for what will be possible later. I'm protecting women and men who come after me, who end up in this position, and I hold on to that truth. Thank you so much. My name is Celine Tavlon, and I'll see you next time.
What are you doing? Texting?
Guys, get ready with me while I tell you things that the guy I was about to marry did, but I still decided to stay. Right off the bat, he asked me how I would feel if he started watching porn because I was watching baddies every Sunday. Next one, him and his mom were basically tag teaming me, talking about how I need to go back to school and get an education because his mom told him that if I don't want to be a housewife, that I need to figure out what I want to do. Mind y'all, we were together at this point for like 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months, and he's already listening to mommy and relaying what mommy is saying to him or whatever and saying it to me. Next thing, he said he lost a lot of respect for me because I told him that everyone has their own timings to things, and I use his mom as an example because his mom was still in school to finish her education to be higher up or whatever is what she was doing, and I used his mom as an example, and he said he had a lot of respect for me for that. Like, babe, I'm just trying to get you to see what I'm talking about. He told me that this was what, number 3. He said that when we get married, he doesn't want social media to be in the picture whatsoever. So like completely off the grid type of thing. So this one's a big one for me. I was showing him how like Moroccan weddings kind of look like because he wasn't Moroccan, and I was kind of showing him what they would look like, and I was like, oh, like da-da-da, I can't wait, whatever. He was like, yeah, I don't want any music or dancing in my wedding. And I was like, at all? Like, he was like, no. And I was like, I'm literally Moroccan, babe, like what do you want from me? Okay, next one, number 4, I think, or 5, whatever. He told me that his mom doesn't like nose piercings on women because it kind of gives like, oh, like she's fast type of impression. Okay, next one is he doesn't like when women wear makeup because it hides their true beauty, and I think he said it was because he grew up with his mom never wearing makeup. Are y'all seeing the pattern here? Okay, next one. I forgot where we were at, honestly. He got scammed from his grandmother's money. It was like $700 or something. He was using Bitcoin or whatever, cryptocurrency, and I told him not to click that link, and that boy clicked that link and he lost all his money. And damn near almost cried on the phone, y'all. Next one, he basically told me straight up that my friends were bad influences. Mind y'all, at the time I only had 2 close friends I was hanging out with, and we were like a trio, and he said that they were bad influences. Only thing, I'm not even joking, y'all, the main thing we were doing as a group was hanging out at one of the other person's house. That's it. That was the main thing we were doing. That or going out to eat or something, but oh, they're bad influences. Was it because we watched baddies? The next one might be controversial, but he didn't want me wearing the color red because in his culture or whatever, that color is seen as evil. So yeah, he didn't want me to wear the color red, just white, because white shows like purity and stuff. Next one, he asked me to download Life 360 for him. Mind you, we were already sharing locations through Find My, and he's in a whole different state. So you don't really know what I'm doing for real, and you want me to download Life 360? I don't even have Life 360 for my parent. And just to add on to that as well, for Find My, we already had like our locations on, like I said, but he showed me a trick where you can turn on your notifications for whenever someone leaves a specific area. So say, for example, if I was leaving work, he would get the notification that I left that premises. Or if I was leaving home, he'd get the location I was leaving home. And if I was going home, he'd get that notification too. So, granted, he had his on too, but like, who knows about stuff like that? Okay, last one. He said that after we got married, he wanted to move to the country where his dad is from and currently living at or whatever, so he can take over his dad's business. Mind you, I have family in a different country too. Like, you know, I'm not asking you or whatever. And how do you want me to get an education and a career here in America you and your mommy, but you want me to move overseas, where that probably won't benefit me there. The final look. Bye.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Storytime on how I became a felon in kindergarten. Don't look at that, I'm unpacking from a trip. Okay, so I'm 5 years old, obviously, because I'm in kindergarten. And I was a very crafty 5-year-old. I was very deceitful. My brother he also got in trouble a lot with the principal. Like, this will be important in a little second. But my mom would get called to the principal's office because he'd be, like, fighting other people. He was in 1st grade at this time. No, 2nd grade. So my mom is sitting at home relaxing when she gets a call. She picks it up and they're like, "Miss Emily, you need to come down to the principal's office right now." And she was like, What did Isaac do? What happened? "It's not your son, it's your daughter." "What did she do?" "Please just come down to the principal's office as soon as you can. It's urgent." "Well, what did she do?" Beep. Also, I forgot to mention my mom was working. She wasn't sitting at home. I got that part wrong. So she has to wait to the end of the day because she's working. And so she goes to the principal's office. So my mom and her were really good friends. She tried to text my teacher. Wait, no, my mom and my teacher. I'm so confused. My mom and my teacher were really good friends. And so she's trying to text my teacher. She's like, "What happened? Why is Linus in the principal's office? What happened? What's wrong with her?" No answer. So she goes into the principal's office at the end of the day, and she walks in, and there's not 1, not 2, but 3, like, officials in there. There's the vice president, vice principal, like a security guard or something, my teacher, like, there was a bunch of people. And I was 5 years old, by the way. So she walks in, and she looks around, and she's like, "What the heck?" Meanwhile, my teacher is literally going, "What the heck?" Okay. So then the teacher's like, "Mrs. Emily, please have a seat." And my mom is like, "What happened? What did my daughter do? Like, what is it?" Dead ass. The teacher goes, "So your daughter has been printing money." My mom literally looks at them and is just in shock. Mind you, I'm still there. I'm still next to them. And my teacher's just laughing in the corner. And my mom is flabbergasted. She's like, "What do you mean my daughter's printing money?" And it turns out that I, a 5-year-old, was writing $100 bills on green and pink construction paper and selling it to my classmates for a quarter. And my mom was trying so hard to not bust out laughing. So she asked them what they mean by I was like printing money by drawing $100 bills on construction paper. And they're like, "This is serious. This is a felony. She's drawing and she's laundering money. She's drawing stuff on construction. She's drawing stuff on paper and selling it to the other kids." And like my teacher is still like trying like not to laugh as well. And so now all eyes are on me. And apparently little me walks up to them and tells them, "What? I gave him a good deal." That sounded so corny coming out of my mouth right there. But you have to say it in the story. Because if I don't say it in the story, then what's the point in even telling the story? And my mom goes off on them. She's like, "Why are you calling me down here to tell me my kid's being an entrepreneur? I got called out of work for this, and this is no reason. Why are you coming down?" Like, yada, yada, yada. So dismissed, and then my mom goes up to my teacher, and my teacher apparently wasn't allowed to say anything. Like, they didn't let her talk to me, talk to my mom. But yes, that is how I became a felon and printed money in kindergarten.
Okay. Hey, TikTok. First, I'm going to say I've never done this, so bear with me if I get a little emotional. This is the first time for what I'm about to say and do, so just bear with me, okay? I've been going through some stuff lately, and I feel like it's been emphasizing the fact that I lack some self-love and some self-confidence. I'm at a point where I'm tired of hiding certain things about me out of fear of rejection or fear of not being wanted or fear of being looked at differently. Okay. So, I was born premature. I was born with a birth defect in my left hand. It's something I've had all my life. Clearly, I was born with it. It's something that I hid all my life. In my 23 years of life, this is my first time even ever showing it on the internet. So, it's never stopped me from being able to do anything I've wanted to do. I was an athlete. I do everything normally. It's never stopped me from doing anything. It's always just been something I've been self-conscious of myself. And now I just feel like I'm at a point in my life, I'm grown as hell. Like, I don't care. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. I don't care. That's how God made me. I don't care. Say what you want, think what you want. Don't unfollow me because you don't think I'm attractive no more. Unlike my stuff because you find it weird. I don't care. That's how God made me, and that's what it is. And the reason I'm addressing it on the internet is because I'm no longer going to go out of my way to hide it in pictures or hide it in videos or hide it when I'm not doing that. Hide it for what? If you feel different about it or feel different about me because of it, that says something about yourself, not about me. I'm a smart, young, beautiful woman, and this does not define me. And I hope anybody out there who feels different or goes through anything because of the way they look or something that's different about them, I hope that you realize that you're unique, you're beautiful, and that's what makes you you. So, thank you guys.